critics of it. So right there, it means you're anti-abortion, you're out of here. You're anti-woman. That's ridiculous. And worse yet, you're anti-American? Kathy Hochul, anti-American? Who finds the American flag more? It's the Republicans, the Democrats used to, but you so miscombobulated finding the American flag as being a symbol for being a Trumper and a MAGA supporter that now Democrats are afraid to fly the American flag as they have for decades because they think they will be stigmatized as a Trumper or a MAGA supporter. And you've been a part of that, Hochul. Plus, remember when you said you would force the removal of the mask from those who were anti-Semites, who were threatening Jews? You said you would be the first, and then you got it. And it took Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman, the county executive, to sign the county legislation that had first been proposed by Mazie Phillips, who failed in her attempt to beat Swazi for the George Santos seat. And oh my God, she would have been much better than Swazi, but he moved to the right, like so many of these congressional candidates are moving to the right. But you see, she's added to a bona fides of attacking New Yorkers who are not Democrats. Remember, she did this again once before after the very heated primary that existed to choose a Republican opponent against Kathy Hochul, who took over the seat for fleeing Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, afraid that his own party, the Democrats controlling both the state Senate, a veto-proof country,
Ew.
and the
Ew, can you do the pasta?
hasty speaker, would impeach him.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, because I problem my other phone. Thank you. I'm in Queens on the way to Manhattan.
He bedded down, hit the mattresses, stole the in Southampton at his brother Chris Cuomo Fredo's compound. Just at the time that his wartime consigliere, Joe Picoco, who was released from prison doing 6 years for political.
Yeah, I'm on the way to Manhattan
Elevated to become governor.
to go to gas station or something. Let me see where's the gas
When she
station.
realized that it was Lee Zeldin, the former congressman from Shirley, who had won the very heated Republican primary against Andrew Giuliani, Rob Astorino, the former Westchester County executive, and Harry Wilson.
In 300 feet, turn right on Forest Avenue.
The fate of democracy in this country. That's what we're fighting for, my friends. We're fighting for democracy. We're fighting to bring government back to the people and out of the hands of dictators. And we're here to say,
Yep.
of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town. Get out of town. Because you don't represent our values.
And basically what happened was he said, get out of town, get on a bus. If you happen to have supported Trump, Zeldin, or Molinaro, and then this way, the bus on the way back, pounding the hound, Catholic Charities will round up the illegal aliens who just crossed the border, put them on the bus. Federal tax dollars will be used to transport them, courtesy of Catholic Charities, aiding and abetting the invasion. And then they'll come to New York, where we will provide 4-star hotel accommodations, culturally appropriate food, cell phones, iPhones, health insurance. We will give them everything that we don't even give our own homeless, our own veterans who are down on their luck. That was Kathy Hochul. So she has consistently proven to Team Harris over the years that she hates Republicans. Although, ironically, like typical politicians at one time, when she was the county clerk in Erie County, their responsibility was to issue licenses, driver's licenses. She rejected Elliot Spitzer, then the governor's proposal, before he had to exit stage left for transporting prostitutes across state lines, a violation of the Mann Act that led to a morning call to my husband-in-law, then Lieutenant Governor David Paterson, where, surprise, surprise, surprise. You remember how Gomer Pyle would say that? Guess what, Paterson, you're the governor. But at that time, Spitzer was fighting in the state assembly and the state legislature to allow illegal aliens to have licenses. And the person who stood in his way was the clerk of the county of Erie. And who was that at that time? Kathy Holcomb, who said, over my dead body, I'm not issuing any licenses to any illegal aliens. And then remember, she was Annie Oakley. Before Gillibrand was Annie Oakley up near Albany. Both these gals were loved by the NRA. They had rifles and pistols and shotguns under their bed. They were NRA certified. In fact, the NRA supported them against their Republican opponents. And the moment Cuomo said, I need to win Erie County this time, I'm going to take on Kathy Holcomb. Kathy, you got to do one thing. You got to take your guns and turn them into plowshares. And you got to be willing to open up a printing press and print New York State licenses and give them free of charge to illegal aliens. And she said, yeah. Anything to acquire more power, because eventually she proved out to be the grifter in chief. Her and her husband, that's all they do. Fundraise to stem off potential competition for re-election. But that's why she made these comments to curry favor for Harris if she becomes president, because she wants a cabinet position. Very much what Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo did years ago when he was the governor and thought he was on his way to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the first Italian-American president, to actually realize the dream of his father, Mario Facciabrutta Cuomo, of getting to the White House. Remember what he said to Republicans and conservatives?
Are they these extreme conservatives who are right to life, pro-assault weapon, anti-gay? Is that who they are?
You've arrived.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
And so that hasten the exit, there has been a non-stop exit ever since. New York State has lost more population than any other state in the nation simply because they packed their bags and left for a variety of reasons. But the number one reason is they're not wanted here in New York State. Cuomo made that very apparent. Holcomb made that very apparent and does it every day. And now that Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, is on his way to prison in upstate New York, they already are clearing out the Sheldon Silver cell in Otisville. This is the one reserved for politicians convicted of federal corruption acts. As he desperately holds on, he realizes that his enemies in his own Democratic Party are not blacks and Latinos. No.
Emergency
It's
vehicle
the white
reported ahead.
hipster millennials who have transformed the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, and the Working Families Party into quite a strong bloc of Democrats who will challenge him in a Democratic primary. Think of what he said.
You were here before Starbucks. You were here before others came and decided they
Go
wanted
to the coffee shop. I'll be back.
Peanut. This was a squirrel who had been ravaged early on in its life. Mark and his wife had rescued the squirrel, brought him into their domicile, cared for him, and bonded in such a way that he became a member of the family. And Mark and his wife, they wanted to release Peanut back into the wild, but Peanut would not go. Peanut became an internet sensation. Look, Justin, Alec, you wouldn't know this, nor would you, Lou Rufino. I grew up in the midst of the Cold War in the 1960s, when we every day would have to duck under our desks when the air raid siren would go off and kiss both of our cheeks, or dupa, or tuchus, because we feared that Nikita Khrushchev had finally sent those nuclear weapons to destroy all of us, as he had promised when, in the midst of a tirade, a vodka-initiated tirade on the floor of the General Assembly of the United Nations, he took his stinky footwear off and banged the table and said, "We will bury you." So every day thereafter, we had to duck and cover. And God only knows how many times I forgot to wipe my tuchus, because then I'm stuck there sniffing it for like 4 minutes until the air raid siren went off. And life would go back again. And you know who guided us through that Cold War? Justin Alec and Lou Rufino. Rocket J. Squirrel and Bullwinkle J. Moose. In their battles against the KGB twins, Boris and Natasha, in the midst of the Cold War. Remember, it was Rocket J. Squirrel who was the brains of the operation. The Moose, he was the muscle head. But I found solace every day in coming home and watching Rocket J. Squirrel and Bullwinkle J. Moose, because I knew our side was winning. And then there was the Cold War, JFK versus Nikita Khrushchev. Remember, they did a movie, Failsafe. 10 days, the Cuban Missile Crisis. And every day I religiously watched Rocket J. Squirrel and Bullwinkle J. Moose. And so when I heard that all of a sudden these jackbooted thugs of the Department of Environmental Conservation was sent in to take a raccoon that this family, the Longo family, had rescued and were caring for, because there had been a call that potentially this raccoon had rabies. It turns out the call came in from Texas that it was a person who was jealous of Longo's influence with Peanut. And apparently they claim that Peanut bit one of these jackbooted thugs. And then they took Peanut too, along with the raccoon, and they murdered them. They murdered them. They say euthanize, it was murder. But I say, recently we saw the Chinese Democratic Councilwoman in Bensonhurst, Susan Schwang, charged with biting a police officer's hand as they were attempting to force the demolition of a building on 86th and 25th Avenue that was going to be turned into a men's shelter. And for 111 days, that community has rebelled and protested peacefully. But they jammed up Susan Schwang and said, "You bit a cop." If they could have, they might have put her in solitary confinement, locked up the key, and threw it away. But you see, with animals, you can do that because in New York State, they are viewed as property. And so Kathy Holcomb may not have known who directed this, but she certainly is in charge of the Department of Environmental Conservation. She must answer for this. And I might add, let me tell you that as much as she has maligned all of us as Republicans, saying that we are anti-woman, that we are anti-abortion, that we are anti-American, she actually can issue a report now and do a deep dive and find out why her state agency was responsible for the murder of Peanuts. And this has gone viral. And the Longo family says enough is enough, this must stop. Even though it is illegal according to certain laws, not to house squirrels, even for the purpose of repairing their damaged bodies and releasing them out to Mother Nature. The Longo family is standing strong. And I and Nancy, as you know, we have the animal welfare aspect of the Guardian Angels and the animal welfare program on Sunday nights from 10 to 11, and we took a stand for the Longo family and to preserve the memory of Peanuts, who was murdered by New York State officials. Believe it or not, look at it. It's gone viral, Justin Ellick. It's being carried all around the world, this story, even more so than the Trump and Harris. We cannot rest until justice is done in the name of Peanuts and every animal who has been killed by our government needlessly.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. This is New York's talk leader, the crown jewel of talk radio. WABC New York and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays. News first at 59 past the hour. 77 WABC News starts now.
56 degrees, sunny skies on this Monday, November 4th. Good afternoon, I'm James Flippin. Early voting has ended here in New York. The polls closed today, and they'll be open again tomorrow for Election Day. New York Governor Kathy Hochul preparing for the potential aftermath as she cautions there may not be a clear winner for a while between Harris and Trump.
Tallying all the votes, declaring all the official winners can take time. That's totally normal, especially in tight races.
And so that's why she's ordered several state agencies to coordinate with local law enforcement, she says, to ensure that election-related demonstrations remain peaceful while also protecting New Yorkers' right to a free speech expression. Testimony once again being heard in the trial of Long Island native and Marine veteran Daniel Penny. This is in connection to the alleged chokehold death of a homeless man, Jordan Neely, on board an F train in May of 2023 in Manhattan. Last week, jurors were shown new police body cam footage from officers who responded to that incident on the New York City subway last year. During opening statements last Friday, prosecutors told jurors that Daniel Penny needlessly choked Neely for 6 minutes and that he knew doing so would result in death. Penny's defense team says Neely was threatening subway riders and that Penny tried to protect them and that he put some of the blame for Neely's death on a slow medical response. New York City is now under a drought watch.
We have not seen any real rain in more than a month now, and the upstate reservoirs that fill New York City's pipes getting low. So Mayor Adams asking government agencies and everyday New Yorkers to consider.
I'm calling for all of my agencies to come up with their water saving plans and to start to implement those plans.
The mayor asking New Yorkers to take shorter showers now and pass on watering the lawn. This past October was the driest in city history. Noah Reagan, WABC News.
And so daylight savings time is now over until March. The time change affects people in different ways. Some people may experience seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Medical professionals say it's hard to shift to starting your day in the dark and ending it in the dark. Clock changes disrupt sleep patterns, metabolism, stress levels, and we do know that kids and early risers have been shown to suffer the most from clock changes. For your pets, standard time isn't feeling so standard.
Anytime you're a creature of habit, changes to routine can rattle your well-being, and that includes dogs. Veterinarians say dogs are extra sensitive to our two time changes. Their rhythm is synced to sunrise and sunset, and so standard time isn't so standard yet. Bedtime, mealtime, and walk time are all at different times. Your pup might show signs of anxiety like pacing, whining, or being more clingy than usual. Try to introduce the time change gradually, which means you may have to rise earlier than normal, and offer your pets some extra TLC. I'm Lucinda Kay.
For the first time, the bird flu has been found in a pig. Baylor infectious disease expert Dr. Peter Hotez.
The reason people care about pigs so much is historically pigs are the big mixing bowls to mix human strains and bird strains, the flu.
He says there have been human cases of this bird flu, but they've all come from infected animals, and there has not yet been human-to-human transmission. WABC News Time, 104, sports, weather, and Wall Street next.
Janine Pirro here. Police Sergeant Christopher David Fitzgerald of the Temple University Police Department sustained fatal gunshot wounds while attempting to arrest a robbery suspect. Thanks to caring friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to provide a mortgage-free home to his wife Marissa and their 5 children in honor of their forever hero. Christopher's love for law enforcement was inspired by his parents, who both proudly served as Philadelphia police officers. Prior to his premature passing, Christopher was nominated for the Temple University Police Department Officer of the Year. Sadly, it's an award he would receive posthumously. Christopher was a great father, husband, brother, and son who was so very missed. He will be remembered by many for his passion and determination to make his own name in life while improving conditions for residents in the surrounding community and Temple University stakeholders. It's heroes like Christopher who protect and serve our communities and our nation. Help heroes like Christopher and their families. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
77 WABC News, continuing the tradition of delivering the best radio news.
77 WABC Chime Time 105. In sports, Giants fans, it's not just you feeling the blues here on Monday. The New Orleans Saints have fired their head coach, Dennis Allen. Allen was in his 3rd season with the Saints, who are 2-7, having lost 7 straight, and they just dropped the game to division rival Carolina. On Wall Street, stocks are down. The Dow is down 204 points. And here's your forecast from the Ramsey Mazda Weather Center. Today, partly sunny, a high near 60. Overnight, mostly cloudy, a low near 54. Tomorrow, partly sunny, a little warmer, getting up to 72. WABC News Time 106. Greg Kelly next. 57 degrees, sunny skies in Midtown. And I'm James Fulton.
The Greg Kelly Show.
Well, it's in God's hands and ours. It's in God's hands, and nothing we say at this point is going to change a damn thing. Nothing they say is going to change a damn thing. I know we got a bunch of rallies, we got this, that, and the other thing going on tonight. But it's over in a way. Then again, the work could be starting in earnest tomorrow. Look, it's not far-fetched to think that there's going to be cheating, right? I mean, that's what the left does. I would expect to see it again. But this whole too big to rig thing just may be coming to fruition. I heard from one of the smartest guys in politics today, and he's not particularly, he's not rooting for Trump, he's not rooting for Harris, he's about as close as you can get to down the middle. It was an off-the-record phone call, so I can't say his or her name, but that's a dude, all right? And he said he's very confident that Trump is going to win, and he's going to win by a wide margin. So that's good. That's very good. I'm not as confident as he is. I'm just not. I'm getting as he is. I'm just not. I'm getting a little bit nervous, all right? I am. I'm not as confident as he is, and this is in God's hands. What does God want? What is his plan? Only he knows. You would think that he would want to put an end to all this insanity, but maybe he wants it to go on for a little bit longer, for his purposes, right? For our purposes, too. A lot of us were devastated when Donald Trump did not get a second term, right? I mean, it felt like the end of the world. And after that January 6th nonsense, now I never gave up hope that he could come back. But basically, he was written off for dead, and look at him now. Look at where he is. So anything could happen. But why didn't God allow him to be elected in 2020, outright, win by a mile? Think about it. If he had been president for all these last 4 years, well, the world would be in a much better place. Ukraine would not have invaded. Hamas would not have done that horrible thing to Israel and beyond. We'd have peace. We'd have stability at home. This woke nonsense would have been contained. You name it. We'd have a border. We wouldn't be losing our country. But I don't know. Why did he want all that stuff to happen? Maybe he wants the Trump era to last longer. Because the Trump era, had he been reelected, would have been about 9 years, right? From 2015, actually 8.5 years. 8.5 years, that's it. Now it's going to be, if he's reelected, let's go. It would be, the Trump era lasted from 2015, and even though he wasn't in office for the past 4 years, I think you could say he was a dominant figure in America, possibly the dominant figure in America. It went on It will have gone on, let's see, he'll leave office, if everything goes right, 2029. Wow, 2029. That just sounds like a long time from now. It is kind of a long time from now. That's a 14-year era. That is the era of Trump. You know, lots of people get elected to 2 terms. I think about half of the presidents have served 2 terms. But to be a major force like that for 14 years, that's just like Trump. Totally unusual, totally different, and it's great. Let's see. I've got this stuff. Do I want to do this? Yeah, some prominent Democrats are now sounding the alarm because they don't want to have egg on their face. If Kamala Harris loses big, as she should, as she deserves to, nobody even voted for her this thing. The one time she ran for president, it was a complete and total disaster. She has no achievement whatsoever to claim credit. No, none. She's vacuous in every way. She quite literally slept her way to some of the cushiest jobs in politics, being the district attorney, being the state attorney general. She got those things because she had an affair, an extramarital affair with Willie Brown. It's just the most amazing thing ever. And apparently, why wasn't that a huge, bigger issue in this campaign? Where did she come from? How did she get to where she is? Not on the merits. And isn't America supposed to be about, I don't know, something, just doing a good job and then getting promoted? Guess it doesn't work that way in politics, but still. Let's see. This guy ran the campaign for Obama in 2012. He's still a big deal in the ran Obama's campaign in 2012. You heard about this, right? Cut 8, please. Cut 8.
The biggest concern right now if you're the Harris team?
Well, look, I think it's a couple things. The early vote numbers are a little scary, and you and I have been texting back and forth. Now, the Republicans didn't do what they did last time. Last time Trump said don't early vote, and so they didn't. The Republicans do have an advantage in early vote numbers. When the early votes come in, it's going to look a little bit different than 2020, and that's scary. But when you kind of dig into the numbers that I care the most about are 2 blocks, women voters and young voters. And those 2 voting blocks are coming big, Jen. Women voters make up 55% of the early voters. And in the past 10 days, young voters in these battleground states are coming out in what looks to be, for early votes, historic numbers. And that makes the Harris campaign very, very happy. But when you look at some of the early voting numbers, it has led lots of your friends and my friends to call me panicking.
They're panicking. All right, they're panicking. Put it all together. They got some data, and more data. You ready? This is Team Trump. They report that Kamala Harris is in real trouble, not just with male voters, but she's also not getting the early vote photos with female voters.
Welcome back.
More trouble with urban voters. That's what's because of low turnout, but also because President Trump is performing historically well. President Trump's strategy of targeting low and mid-propensity voters and turning them out to vote is paying off. But don't just take our word for it. According to Democratic data expert Tom turnout is down 385,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Female turnout is down 170,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Rural turnout is up 14,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Georgia, urban turnout is down 153,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Female turnout 2020, that's Georgia. Michigan, urban turnout is up 55,000 votes. These are all Trump's strongholds, should be. North Carolina, urban turnout is down 175,000 votes compared to 2020. Female turnout is down 154,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Rural turnout is up 26,000 votes compared to this point in 2020. Nevada, down 126,000. Now, why is that? I I didn't invent it, but I'm not that crazy about it. You know, these Democrats have been trained to turn out to vote early. They're not doing that, and it's unlikely, well, less than likely, that they're going to make up for all this on election day. A few other notable specifics across the states where we know voters' partisan registration, like Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania. 0 of 4 and 1 of 4 new and infrequent voters make up a larger share of the Republican early vote than for Democrats in every single one. I don't really understand that. This means, thank you. This means our wave of 4 of 4s are still showing up on election day. Still don't know what that means. In those states, Democrats have more than 1.3 million voters who voted before Election Day in 2020 or 2022, but have not voted. Yo, geez, this is getting all over the place. Bottom line, the early voting looks very good for Trump in the following states. We went through them, all the swing states. I think I know them all by heart now, right? Yeah, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, we mentioned that, and Wisconsin, Michigan, and shoot, what's the other one up there? Minnesota, it's not a swing state. What's the blue wall up there? I guess it's Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then you got Pennsylvania on the way out. So, and the experts seem to be, they're registering there right now. They're coming out and saying that she's going to lose. They're coming out and saying that they don't want to see that. People are really showing their true colors here, right? Joe Biden calling everybody garbage who votes for the other side. Joe Biden over the weekend saying he wants to slap ass. I almost ended up a sexual thing. He wants to slap men right on the ass. Right? Isn't that a little kinky or something? And here's Hochul, the buck-tooth beauty parlor habitué. Hochul, Kathy Hochul, sounding like the nitwit that she is. Cut 9.
You're voting for these Republicans in New York. You're voting for someone who supports Donald Trump, and you're anti-woman, you're anti-abortion, and basically you're anti-American because you have just trashed American values and what our country is all about.
She really is an imbecile. She really, even for the Democrats, have got to be embarrassed by her. You know what? It's actually okay to be anti-abortion. It's okay, Kathy. Does she know that? Did they go up to Buffalo to tell her that, or Albany, right? No, she just likes power. She likes wearing that stupid coat, walking around. She can't believe it with torches. She can't believe it. A one-term county clerk from nowhere, New York State. And what did she do? Oh, she was in the Congress for one term. You know how hard it is to lose after one term? One term in Congress, 2 years? And Pastor Chango, she's the governor. Because Andrew Cuomo saw something mediocre in her. Andrew Cuomo saw a non-threatening dingbat in this person, and that's why she's lieutenant governor right now. Or, I'm sorry, the governor. Can you believe it? Good God. How about we drop some impeachment articles, right? One more time. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's terrible. I want to see everything. I'm going to make sure I got all the anti. We're anti. What if we support Trump? Now,
You're voting for these Republicans in New York. You're voting for someone who supports Donald Trump, and you're anti-woman, you're anti-abortion, and basically you're anti-American because you have just trashed American values and what our country is all about.
You know, part of what our country's all about is we don't
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Governor. I'm going to start calling her governess. Wacky Kathy. How else? I need something more pejorative. That's not sufficient. All right, I just want this time to go by. I'm not like these other people. It makes me so angry. You know, win or lose, I just want it done. No, I want to freaking win. And it may be a long time. It may be a long time. It might be 2 months. It might be, who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen. But I'll be okay if they don't win tomorrow night. As long as it's not a Kamala Harris victory, I can accept it. And we can work to figure the rest of it out. Give me a moment, please. Thank you.
Greg Kelly.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Community from Mom or Dad, River Spring Living living senior housing just may be the option you're looking for. Set on a beautiful 32-acre campus right along the Hudson River with incredible views of the New York City skyline, there are plenty of chances to engage in activities, wellness programs, and so much more. From independent living to assisted living and memory care, specialized teams are dedicated to making everyone feel right at home. See for yourself. Visit riverspringliving.org to schedule a tour today. That's riverspringliving.org.
Life can be tough, and sometimes it's hard to find someone who will listen. But we want you to know there's always someone you can turn to, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is completely confidential and here for you 24/7 every day of the year. You don't have to struggle alone. Call 988 and let us help. We're here ready to listen because your life matters. Call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org/chat. A message from New Jersey Human Services.
This is a 77 WABC News. Road to the election update.
Former President Trump held a campaign speech at his home in Mar-a-Lago in South Florida last week. He spoke for close to an hour, covering a number of issues like the border and the economy. And Trump mentioned that voting trends appear to be changing.
Republicans never lead in the early voting because, for whatever reason, it's habit or it's a certain security they feel in going to the booth. But we never lead in. I don't know if we've ever led in early. Every single state we're leading in.
Trump pointed to his lead in 7 key swing states, but also claims his campaign is doing better than usual in some traditional blue states.
Some states are in the play that nobody thought would ever be in play, but I think people are seeing the case. Again, we're the party of common sense.
Former President cheering his rally at New York's Madison Square Garden last weekend.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and former First Lady Melania Trump.
Delivery.
Politicians have been doing this for a long 30 to 40 years, but there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved.
And late last week, the Trump campaign found itself on the attack after billionaire Mark Cuban made comments about women. While on ABC's The View, Cuban, a Kamala Harris campaign surrogate, said, "Donald Trump, you've never seen him around strong, intelligent women. It's just that simple." Many prominent Republican women came out on social media to blast Cuban for that statement, and former President Trump himself on social media posted a statement saying, "Mark Cuban, a really dumb guy who thinks he's hot stuff, but he's absolutely nothing, is now out there saying that I don't surround myself with strong women. Actually, he's very wrong." And Trump went on to say all strong women and women in general should be very angry about this weak man's statement. Gene Pin for 77 WABC News.
This is the Greg Kelly Show.
Well, this is a bad sign. Gabriel Sterling, he works for the Secretary of State of Georgia, is on CNN right now, criticizing Republicans for raising questions about how the voting is being handled down there. That is a very bad sign. Gabriel Sterling is a bad guy, just like his boss.
Secretary of State of Georgia, Raffensperger. My name is Brad. My wife received very perverted phone calls, and that's a really, really bad thing. We should stop everything. My wife is getting very bad phone calls.
I do not like that man. I do not like that man. Hey, where's my sheet? Roughly speaking? Okay, good. There's a great anti-crime proposition in California. It's kind of, in a normal state, it would be a kind of a no-brainer, right? A no-brain kind of thing. Very, very simple. Hey, I'm going to ask you to play that Kamala bite, okay? Kamala on the proposition. So, yeah, she's running for president, right? Running for president. So you're going to tell us how you feel about the issues. So Proposition 36 is a big tough on crime thing in California. She voted via mail for president, right? She's allowed to do that, and she's sending in, and everything's a photo op when you're running for president, so she puts it in the mailbox and starts taking questions from the reporters. How did you vote on Proposition 36, the thing that's going to, get tough on crime? Mandatory sentences, that kind of thing. What's your answer?
My ballot is on its way to California, and I'm going to trust the system that it will arrive there. And I am not going to talk about the vote on that because, honestly, it's the Sunday before the election, and I don't don't intend to create an endorsement one way or another around it. So, but I do vote.
Wow. It's just, it's unbelievable. If Donald Trump should lose, what happens next? What happens? I don't want to think about it right now. Well, no. I'm going to go back to what that guy said. He's going to win, and he's going to win big, and there's ample data to suggest that. But there's also ample evidence that a lot of these Democrats are lowlifes, including the guy I'm looking at CNN right now. Georgia officials fight conspiracy theories ahead of Election Day. Conspiracy theory. Political points of view and opinion and concerns, a conspiracy theory. You know, just like the Wuhan virus, right? The COVID came from the lab. No. It came from that Chinese delicatessen. Don't say anything about the lab. You're a conspiracy theorist. They did. You couldn't post it on Facebook. You couldn't say it on television. And now finally, no probability we know it came from that chemical weapons laboratory in Wuhan. It's just, ooh, hey, this is very, very cool. You see this thing? There was a documentary film crew with him, and he takes my call in the middle of the documentary. Listen to this. Cut 19, please. Cut 19.
Okay, here we have. That must be. Who is it? No, Greg. How are you, Greg? Oh boy, I just did one yet. I just did one on Fox. Did you see it? I don't know if I can handle another one, man. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. Look, you know, you're my friend. You're great, but it's Greg Kelly. Say it again, Greg. Jason Miller's here.
Isn't that cool? It's Greg Kelly. He's like bragging to the room. Hey, I got Greg Kelly on the phone. Well, he may have Greg Kelly on the phone, but I have Gail. Is there Gail? Gail, is she available? What happened to Gail? Oh, no, wrong number. Okay. All right, Gail, we'll get back to you. And I'll get back to all. Oh, here's another thing. Boy, he's entering just like he's leaving just like he entered with live. Cut 15. Cut 15. Barack Obama, for all that alleged intelligence, for all those credentials, a two-term ex-president going out there and lying. You think that's going to carry the day? You think people don't notice this? You think God doesn't notice this? Cut 15.
Maybe you're Muslim American or Jewish American, and you are heartbroken and furious about the ongoing bloodshed in the Middle East, and worried about the rise of anti-Semitism. Why would you place your faith in somebody who instituted the so-called Muslim Day? Who sat down for pleasantries with Holocaust deniers? Who said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally?
How about, right, that's a lie. Hey, Barack, remind me to ask you about your best friend, Louis Farrakhan.
Things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 60 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, this is Dave. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval. Subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Based on product and prescription plan.
Many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to hims.com. So what are you waiting for? To start your free online visit.
The expert leaders in non-surgical medical treatment for arthritis pain have a special message. If you've been told that you are bone to bone, or that knee replacement surgery is your only option, or would prefer to avoid the side effects of pain medicines, their experienced doctors use the latest in precision arthritis targeting technology to precisely place FDA-approved cushioning medicines, stem cells, PRP, or nerve blocks exactly where you need it. No surgery, no anesthesia, no hospital. Procedures can start you healing in as little as 10 minutes. Most return to work or home immediately after treatment with nothing but a 1-inch Band-Aid. Even doctors are NYC Pain MD patients. It's time to stop letting chronic pain control your life. Take the first step forward. Call to schedule a no-cost assessment at 1-800-600-KNEE.
This is Halloween.
800-600-5633. Clinics convenient to subways, bridges, and tunnels. Call to schedule your assessment. That's 800-600-KNEE.
CardsNow.org. That's cards with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
The following is a paid issue advertisement.
Okay then, low miles, real cream puffs. Sign here, drive off.
I'd like to read the fine print.
Don't bother, miss.
Listen, you'd be surprised what you find in the fine print. Like that Prop 1 that's on the ballot.
Equal rights? We love them here at Ace Auto.
Only Prop 1 isn't about equal rights. It's about special rights for illegal immigrants.
Say what?
Say what?
You can read it on the ballot.
Say what?
Under Prop 1, national origin gets constitutional protection.
Huh, that means...
I do my own research.
I know.
Say what?
Critics say Prop 1 could block local efforts to deal with the migrant crisis and give illegals a constitutional right to taxpayer benefits. Prop 1 could even open the door for non-citizens to vote here.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm voting no on Prop 1. It's a clunker.
Paid for by Vote No on Prop 1 Committee. Vote No on Prop1.org.
In 2024, you get more at Ramsey Mazda. More selection and more savings. Like a new 2024 Mazda CX-5, starting at just $29,276. Ramsey Mazda is the proud recipient of the 2023 President's Club Award and the 2024 Cars.com Consumer Satisfaction Award. Visit RamseyMazda.com and get more in a new Mazda from Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Protecting America with Rita Cosby. Rita talks to former federal prosecutor Doug Burns about the Daniel Penny case.
Doug, would you want someone who clearly has been on the subway, knows how scary when the doors close and, you're going, there's nowhere to hide. And everybody who's probably been on the subway, sadly, has had some pretty scary people that have been on the subway with them at some point.
You absolutely want people who are familiar with being in the underground tubes. As you said, the claustrophobia, the scariness.
This is Halloween. This is
Hurtling along, there's nowhere to go, there's no escaping. And by the way, that's going to play into it because there are witnesses apparently in both directions, which is interesting, and can create some reasonable doubt. Some witnesses are prepared to say, it was absolutely scary and fearful, etc. Others, no, while the guy might have been ranting a little, nobody was really scared.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
This is Halloween.
You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
So why the hell do we have fluoride in water anyway? You hear about this? There's a proposal, I guess RFK Jr. has come up with it, to take the fluoride out of the water. I thought fluoride was in toothpaste. Let's keep it in the toothpaste. Doesn't sound like it should be in the water. I don't know, they're acting like that's the worst thing that anybody has ever asked. I don't, or called for. Trump says RFK Jr.'s push to remove fluoride from water sounds okay.
This is Halloween.
Okay.
This is Halloween.
You know what doesn't sound okay? The fluoride in the water to begin with. Do you know anything about fluoride in the water, Rich? Why would they have fluoride in the water? I can't hear you. What? Why do we brush our teeth? What the hell? Fluoride. I mean, what is fluoride doing in there? What is it? Since when did they start putting that in the water? What else is in the water? How about hydrogen and oxygen? H2O. 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen, and that's all I want. That's what I want in my water. No fluoride, no calcium, no magnesium, no rat goo. There must be a lot of stuff that we're... Because these this water comes from a reservoir ultimately, right? And all kinds of stuff can happen to that reservoir. But they've got these big filters. Everything that RFK has been saying, I like. And they better let him go nuts in that food FDA thing, because the food situation in America is absolutely killing us. You got to see me lately. I've lost a ton of weight. Right now I'm eating tuna right out of the can. You know what's in there? Tuna. It's not processed. That's the great thing. The only thing I drink is water and coffee. Once in a blue moon, I'll have a diet tonic soda. But that's it. I can't wait. I can't wait. I do want it to be done. Don't you? I mean, don't you, right? Now, did you see that stunt they pulled on Saturday Night Live? This is totally in violation of the law. You can't do it. They put Kamala Harris on 4 days before the election. Granted, Trump has been on SNL a lot. But every time he ever went on SNL as a candidate, they had to provide an opening for the other candidate. You gotta let the other major party candidate on. They never gave Trump that option. And let's see here. This is Brendan Carr. He's really smart. He's the FCC commissioner, Federal Communications Commission commissioner. Hopefully someday he's going to be the chairman. He's one of those guys who's not afraid to say stuff. And he works for the federal government. How about that? Cut 10, please. Cut 10.
Joining me now, Brendan Carr, an FCC commissioner. Brendan, now just weeks ago, SNL head honcho Lorne Michaels told The Hollywood Reporter that they wouldn't have any of the candidates on the show this year, saying that you can't bring the actual people who are running because of election laws and equal time provisions. But that's exactly what they did. A problem?
Yeah, look, this appears to be a clear and blatant effort by NBC to evade the requirements of federal law, in particular the FCC's equal time provision. I mean, look, America's broadcasters have a very special privilege. It's a privilege they were given originally for free, which is access to a public resource, the airwaves. In exchange, they have certain obligations. One of them is an equal time rule. This has been on the books for decades. If you give a candidate for office free airtime, you have to offer a comparable time and program to all other legally qualified candidates. That appears to be triggered here, and it's not just the Trump campaign. It's potentially the Stein campaign. It's potentially the RFK campaign. Thomas Kane, a candidate for Senate, was on later that same episode, which seems like it might give an opportunity for the Hung Cow campaign as well. I mean, look, media bias has been a big issue over these last couple of months and years, and this might just be Exhibit A of a broadcaster doing exactly what the equal time rule was designed to stop, which is putting us all on the scale before an election.
Wow. I like this guy. Keep going, Brendan. Cut 11.
What could the penalty be to NBC in the way of what? Fines? But, I mean, they don't care about fines. They'll just pay them. It's worth it if they help Kamala.
I think every single option needs to be on the table for the FCC, because we not only need to respond to this if this turns out to be a clear violation of what it looks like, but we need to make sure it sends a message to deter anybody from doing this again, whether it's to benefit a Republican or a Democrat. We've seen this before. Back in the 2016 cycle, when then candidate Trump and candidate Clinton were going on SNL, the then Democrat FCC chair, President Obama's FCC chair, spoke out immediately and said that we have rules on the books, they need to be enforced. The FCC's integrity depends on them speaking up now, too.
Well, are you talking about the potential of pulling a broadcast license?
Those are potential remedies available for violations of these types of rules. Again, no decisions made, but all of those things need to be on the table and considered by the FCC.
Wow. And back then it was arguably fair. Hillary and Trump both on SNL, prominent spots, and both funny, by the way. Let's hear what Kamala on Saturday. It really wasn't that funny. Oh! It was a copy of what Donald Trump did like 9 years ago with Jimmy Kimmel. So, the woman who plays Kamala, Maya, what's her name again? Maya something? Maya Rudolph, is sitting there looking at a mirror, but it's not a mirror, it's Kamala on the other side. And, go ahead, please.
You got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
Does anybody get that joke? Okay. I didn't get it when I heard it. Now, it came to me like 2 hours later. The joke is, when Trump got into that garbage truck a couple of days ago, he momentarily, like, slipped off the handle when he was opening it. The handle's unusual. It's a vertical handle. Think about a car door. It's a vertical handle, right, most of the time. And he just, like, momentarily slipped out of his hand. I mean, it's the kind of thing that human beings do.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Audience. Oh, well, keep going.
I see what you did. They're like that garbage truck, right? I don't really laugh like that, do I? People want to stop the chaos and end the drama.
Not funny. I get it. Her name is Kamala, and they took a bunch of words and they made it sound like not
drama.
funny.
Kamala drama.
All right, let's try Gail here. Hello, Gail.
Good afternoon, Greg. You know, I'm just commenting on something you were talking about earlier in your segment about where was God during the 2020 election. You know, if we believe, there's also the schemes of the devil.
Funny.
There has been so much proven fraud that goes unanswered. We're going against a party that doesn't have to debate, you know, pull a coup on their own president that was, you know, inept anyway, but they were just pushing him along until they really got caught. And that's about all I have to say.
Well, hold on a second. Just the way you quoted me, it sounded like I was saying, where was God? I say some might say that. I would say that God knows what he's doing, and he can make it all work out for the good. So, you know, he is ultimately in control. It actually says in the Bible,
This is Halloween.
We have to actually support our leaders in that they were more or less, you know, put there by God. It says that. You know, I wasn't saying, like, where was God? He was off duty, right? You know, I didn't mean that.
Right. Okay, yeah. Maybe I missed.
I didn't mean that. I mean, no, oh boy, yeah, no. It's all in God's hands. The devil can, you know, that God is much more powerful than the devil. Although the devil, you know what, we got free will and people make the wrong choice all the time, but he can put anything in our heart. He can make it all happen, and I hope he does. But then again, you know what, maybe he wants us to walk around for 40 years in the desert. I hope not, because I don't want 4 years like this, let alone 40. But you never know, Gail. Thank you very much. Let's try Robbie in the Bronx. Yes.
Greg, how you doing? I got a question. Do you think if Trump is the winner this time Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, are we going to see a reaction around the world like when Reagan got in and the hostages are freed? Do you think we're going to see some action in Ukraine like immediately to stop that, or the Middle East, or do you think that's just going to continue on?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, actually. That is a very interesting question, because I always knew that Trump would, you know, start working the phones right away, and as president-elect, but
this
you know
is
what?
Halloween. This is Halloween.
There might be self-selected activity. We better get rid of these hostages right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at all, Robbie, and thanks for putting it in my head. Just like it was amazing, the moment that Reagan became the president, because, boy, they portrayed Reagan like a total madman. Totally nice guy. He wasn't, but for the standards of the day, he was so outlandish. What do they make of Trump? Yeah, they're really afraid of Trump, and they should be. Great point, Robbie. We'll do one more. Maria, hello.
Hello, Greg. Happy Monday.
Maria.
You know what 2 words I'm getting so sick and tired of hearing on the news lately?
What?
Razor thin. This race is razor thin. Baloney. Not only is Don gonna win tomorrow, he's gonna win big, and I predict it's gonna be an early night. I predict by 11:30, midnight at latest, we're gonna know.
Maria, I wish I was there with you, you know? I mean, I wish I just, right now I'm not. I'm nervous. What can I tell you? You know, I mean, it's really happening now. It's really here, and I don't have that confidence. You don't speak for the whole country. I don't speak for the whole country. I've been crisscrossing the country for the past year and a half, like Donald Trump, 2 years. I don't know, for 3 months like Kamala Harris. She doesn't know the country like Donald Trump knows. How are you so convinced he's going to win? I mean, if I had to bet my own money, I'd bet on him. I love the guy, you know, and I love this country. But I'm
Maria.
just nervous about, you know, they could do all kinds of shenanigans. The media, how they have demonized him relentlessly. It doesn't have an effect on me, but I wonder what kind of effect it has on people who don't follow the news like we do, who don't understand that the news is fake like we do.
No, I feel why he's going to win. God is on his side. God is protecting him. And this is his fate, and he's going to be number 47, without a doubt.
Well,
without a doubt.
Trump is on God's side. I think that's what you're supposed to do when you say that, right? It's not that Trump is on God's side. God is not on Trump's side.
Protecting him.
I know, we all saw that, and it's just everything they tried. All right, now I don't want to discourage you, Maria.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
It's going to happen, Greg.
All right, I love it. Keep in touch. Thank you. Oh, boy, I hope so. Hey, what about this? This is that Bill Hemmer guy who's very, very bright, doing one of those things about
This is
1996.
Halloween. This is
Here he
Halloween.
is breaking down the blue wall, which I believe is... I get confused. I know it's Michigan. I know it's Wisconsin. Is it Minnesota or is it Pennsylvania? Is that considered the blue wall? Go ahead there, Billy. Cut 6.
I just want to recap a little bit, right? The race to 270, that's what this is all about. Even today as we are here, Trump's best chance to get to 270, like the straight line path, is where he's campaigning Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. If he sweeps those 3 states, he'll be the president yet again. And show you for Kamala Harris, it hasn't changed. It's that blue wall strategy, all right? Upper Midwest, Wisconsin, and then Michigan, Pennsylvania, and if you get that one electoral vote in Nebraska too, that would give her enough to win the White House at 270 votes. Okay, I'll take you back to a time 4 years ago. Okay,
This is
2020.
Halloween.
This is the blue wall. Biden swept it. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Okay, Wisconsin was the closest of the 3. In fact, won by 0.6 percentage points. All right. Now I want to look at the vote difference in Pennsylvania. The historical view of Pennsylvania, going back to the year 2000. Democratic state. It's been blue every time except for one. And I would point out, Obama's victory in 2008, that's not even a battleground. Won the state by 10 points. Romney was...
All right, it's going to be like 10 hours of this tomorrow night, 15 hours of this. Yeah, some of it I find interesting, some of it is like, ooh.
Sound of the horse. Do you hear the horse? Horse. Horse clapping.
Trump in 2016. And that's where this whole Karen thing came, right?
I had counseled a patient and I brought her into the surgery area and there was a strange man there, inappropriately dressed for a surgery area.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Got scared, and what she said was, "Who is that strange man? Why is he here?"
Like, share, subscribe.
And so I did what any good counselor, good young feminist would do. I walked over to this guy, and I said, "Excuse me, but you'll need to step out of this is the surgery area. You'll need to step out. The back porch is right here, and you can wait there." I assumed he was there to talk as a friend with the doctor who was doing procedures that day. And Curtis said, "Perhaps you don't know who I am." And I, in my always charming way, I said, "I don't really care who you are. That's irrelevant. Please step out." And he did. What did you think in that moment, Curtis?
I think I like this woman. She's spunky. She's beautiful. She's spunky. She's obviously just intelligent. I mean, she was not he's intimidated. I thought I want to get to know her. We might have something there. So I acquiesced very politely and I excused myself. I thought, that's all right, we'll meet later. She'll find out who I am. So
he thought, I'll put her in her place later.
Well, it took a little while for you to come around.
No, I was in love with her and knew what I wanted long before she came around.
Curtis, do anti-abortion advocates, do they make sense to you? Do you understand what their concerns are?
Yes, I do. I don't agree. I don't have a great difficulty with that. I grew up among people who had moral beliefs. They believed in right and wrong and heaven and hell.
Please stay clear of those.
And then they defined it. So a democracy depends on compromise. It cannot function without compromise.
And it also depends on respect for the opinions of others and respect for differences of opinions without demonizing anyone.
So you come there and you think, okay, you can have different opinions in a pluralistic society like this. We're going to have different opinions. It'll have parties that won't agree on anything. These are opinions. I believe this, is that because
I believe I can fly.
this does make me right and make me a good person because you believe this other does make you wrong and a bad person. Either one of us maybe both be right. We're both right. It's our opinion and we have reasons for that. We can, if we wish to discuss it, we can discuss our differences if we want to. We can say, I don't care to. But at least we don't hate each other. We don't want to kill each other. This is a democracy. We have to accept these differences of opinion, but we don't have to agree with them. But we need to be tolerant of them, and we have to come to some consensus. So you can't function without coming to some consensus.
All right, so we're going to try the probiotic soda. Lemon lime, guys. Oh, my Keith Lee. Can smells good. Feels good. Feels like a regular aluminum. No fake stuff. How you gonna just say no fake stuff?
Any job openings at the oil rig in Austin?
Ooh, it smells like lime right when you pop it open. That mist hits your nostrils. But it feels good in your nostrils. Smell like cocaine. Yeah, I can't let you taste it. I might give you an air drop. The thing is, I can't compare it to a soda because I don't drink soda. Patty Edgar owns it all. No, it's a probiotic. Byron Browning. You know that's a nigga.
When you in Austin, Texas?
Austin, Texas, this Friday and Saturday. The shows are already sold out, Bubba.
Bubba. Already.
I want to go to Alaska.
Anchorage would go crazy.
Don't gargle like that. You're gonna make me puke. Goodness gracious.
I'm a fan.
Hey, Tiffany. Darlene Mayberry. Brian Balls. Chris, still talking. Check requests. Did you see him? Where is it right here?
Green Park. Times Square.
Where is it?
This is Times Square. This is Times Square. This is Times Square.
I don't know how to do requests.
Oh my goodness. Did you see what they put in Flaterian? They put Mike Tyson. Huge Mike Tyson.
Who knows how to do a request?
Free to pull.
Smash!
How often did you get caught filming? Never.
J. Dot. Lloyd's in here. Lloyd Christmas.
Get better, Lloyd.
We never get caught. You know that. You see all the content I push. Don't mess with me, head like that. Heather Cabell. Enlo. Alright, back to work. Love you. DamonDarling.com. Tour dates, tickets. New video up. Another video coming later today.
I'm not sure my question is, but I guess I'm asking that, what are you thinking about abortion during this presidential election?
One of the most hopeful things right now, given that the Dobbs decision was frankly devastating, was personally devastating to us, it was devastating to our staff, and who are involved in politics coming out to talk about abortion, their abortion, what it's meant to them. People are also coming out to advocate for the necessity of legal abortion in a way that wasn't happening when it could be taken for granted. I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime, but I think the level of discussion, which has become far more personal, which is one of the things that the changes that we had worked for, and part of why we wrote the book, why we talk so much about ourselves, which is not my way. But to humanize this is not a series of hateful, often shouted names or political talking points. This is a pregnant person's life, future, and the quality of life for any child that will be born into this world, into that situation. And there's much more real conversation going on at that level than we have seen through the years of legalization.
That was my conversation with Dr. Curtis Boyd and Glenna Halverson Boyd about their joint memoir titled We Choose To, a memoir of providing abortion care before, during, and after Roe. And I'm Allison Stewart. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you. I will meet you back here next time.
Support for WNYC comes from Gibney Company, performing contemporary dance works from choreographers William Forsythe, Emily Lariche, and the Tutu-Zilly November. Up close, December 10 through 14 at New York Live Arts. Tickets at newyorklivearts.org.
On the Election Day Brian Lehrer Show, CNN legal analyst Ellie Honig on the lawsuits already being filed to disqualify some voters for president. We'll do one last check-in on the congressional swing districts in our area and the battle over the New York Equal Rights Amendment, Proposition 1, on the back of the ballot. And we'll invite calls from anyone who's decided on your vote in any way in the last week. The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
This is WNYC, FM, HD, and AM New York. From WHYY in Philadelphia, I'm Terry Gross with Fresh Air. Today, Al Pacino, the star of the Godfather films, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon, Scent of a Woman, and more recently, The Irishman. I'll get to ask him questions about growing up in the South Bronx with a single mother and little money, getting a start in Greenwich Village performing in avant-garde theater, nearly dying of COVID, and his life today. And of course, his classic films, like The Godfather, I'll ask about that too.
You can have my answer now if you like. My offer is this. Nothing.
Pacino will have more generous answers than that in our interview. He has a new memoir called Funny Boy. First News. Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are making their last big push on the last day of the campaign before Election Day. Harris is making all of her stops in Pennsylvania today, including one in Scranton this hour. NPR's Franco Ordonez reports Trump stopped first in North Carolina and is heading next to Reading, part of Pennsylvania's Latino corridor.
Reading is home to many Puerto Rican residents who were not happy with the, quote, floating island of garbage remarks from one of Trump's opening speakers at his rally in New York last weekend. Harris will also speak in Reading today. Trump will then stop in Pittsburgh before heading to the Midwest, where he'll wrap up his night late in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's actually the third time in a row that Trump will finish up his campaign here in Grand Rapids. In 2020, he mentioned maybe being a little superstitious.
Charlie Choo Train. Charlie
Choo Train. At 10:30 tonight, but last time it was after midnight before he started. Franco Ordonez, NPR News, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Congressional candidates are making their final pitches to voters as Both parties hope to govern with a legislative majority. NPR's Barbara Sprunt reports there are about 36 competitive House districts this cycle.
Republicans are heavily contesting about 35 seats with big defensive races in California, New York, Iowa, Nebraska, and Arizona. Here's Dan Constant, president of the Congressional Leadership Fund, which is the top House GOP super PAC.
I think the race for Congress is effectively tied. This is on a knife's edge. This will come down to a couple of districts in the end.
For their part, Democrats have roughly 30 candidates running for re-election in competitive seats and are hoping to pick up roughly the same number of seats on offense. Barbara Sprunt, NPR News, Washington.
In this presidential election, the stakes are high for governments around the world. NPR's Joanna Kakitsis is in Kyiv, where she reports President Volodymyr Zelensky and many other Ukrainians likely see a Harris win as a continuation of ongoing U.S. support for Ukraine's war effort against Russia.
Winning is the only option for him. He has said he will not consider giving up any land in exchange for a peace deal. That's actually something Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance has suggested in order to end the war. Zelensky told reporters Ukraine will try to cope if the U.S. turns its back on his country.
NPR's John Kakitsis reporting. More than a month after Israel launched its ground offensive against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, the Lebanese health ministry reports the conflict has claimed more than 3,000 lives. In Israel, 72 people, including dozens of soldiers, have been killed in Hezbollah attacks. The Dow is down 217 points. You're listening to NPR News.
And it's on WNYC. New York, I'm Sean Carlson, 57 degrees at 2:04. Nurses at 3 Northwell health facilities in Manhattan have called off a planned strike, at least for now. About 1,500 nurses were planning to walk out this morning at Lenox Hill Hospital, Manhattan Eye, Ear and Throat Hospital, and Lenox Health, Greenwich Village. They're all members of the New York Professional Nurses Union who are in the midst of negotiating a new contract with Northwell. The nurses say they could still issue a new strike notice if talks go south. Northwell has said all of the campuses affected will remain operational in case of a strike. Elizabeth Street Garden in Manhattan is kicking its Eviction Day down the road once more, this time until at least February of next year. It's the latest development in the years-long battle of the Soho green space where the city wants to build affordable housing for seniors. Garden Executive Director Joseph Reber says organizers are cautiously optimistic.
It gives the community, a lot of hope. So many people have come in to the garden and written us and just been so grateful that they have more time to spend in the garden and to enjoy the garden.
Reber says it also gives them more time to work on alternative proposals to present to city officials. A City Hall spokesperson says officials remained undeterred and will continue fighting to bring affordable housing to the spot. Well, again, 57 degrees out there. It's feeling a lot more seasonal this week. For tonight, partly cloudy early, mostly cloudy later on, lows in the mid-50s tonight. For tomorrow, election day, partly sunny in the morning, then clearing up later in the day. Highs in the mid-70s tomorrow afternoon. By tomorrow night, mostly clear. It'll become partly cloudy later on. Lows in the low 60s. By Wednesday, mostly sunny. Temperatures reaching the upper 70s. It's going to get pretty windy on Wednesday. Gusts up to about 25 miles an hour. You're listening to WNYC. It's Monday at 2:06.
Support for NPR comes from ARM, committed to delivering innovative advanced computing designed to enable worldwide companies to unleash the capabilities and experiences of AI. The future of AI is built on ARM. ARM.com.
We are in the final stretch of this historic election season. I'm Scott Detrow. Join us for live special coverage of Election Night 2024 from NPR News. We will bring you the latest as the polls close and the vote totals roll in. The context and analysis you need to stay informed. Tomorrow night, starting at 7 on WNYC and live streaming at WNYC.org.
This is Fresh Air. I'm Terry Gross. My guest today is Al Pacino.
Don't ask me about my business, Kate.
Is it true?
Don't ask me about my business.
No. Well, I'm going to ask Pacino about his business, by which I mean his art.
It sounded like a shot to me.
It did, I know. It's just slamming the table.
All right, as long as it's not a gun. I've had enough of those.
So I'm going to talk to Pacino about his remarkable performance in the Godfather film
films and other films. We'll also talk about his life. He's written a new memoir called Sonny Boy, which is the name his mother used to call him. It spans his life from the days he grew up in the South Bronx, raised by a single mother with little money, to falling in love with the language of the great playwrights Strindberg, Chekhov, and Shakespeare, getting his start in avant-garde theater in Greenwich Village, surprising himself by becoming a movie star, nearly dying from COVID, and all the ups and downs along the way. In case you need to be reminded, some of his now classic films include Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, and Scarface. Although he starred along with Robert De Niro in Godfather 2, they never had a scene together, but they were together in Heat, and more recently in Martin Scorsese's film The Irishman. Pacino won an Oscar for his performance in Scent of a Woman. He won an Emmy for his performance in the HBO adaptation of the play Angels in America, playing Roy Cohn. He starred in the film adaptation of David Mamet's
I vote early, David.
and later starred in a Broadway revival of the show, but in a different role. Al Pacino, welcome to Fresh Air. So exciting to have you here.
Thank you, Andre. Happy to be here.
I want to get to a lot of your life. I want to start by talking about the combination into the killer Michael, into the crime family Michael. You know, you start coming home from the military, you don't want any part of the crime family.
They said they're gonna give me $250.
After your father is gone. So, here's a scene from Godfather 1. You begun
Find a parking. I don't know where to put my car tomorrow, so I'm gonna find looking for parking now. They said they're gonna give me $250. In my district, Chelsea district. One tomato coming up. I'm gonna go looking for parking, then I'm gonna go home, lunch. MJ prepare lunch. This is the one tomato, early one tomato today. But from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow. See you a day after tomorrow. Yeah. See you day after tomorrow, day after election. Maybe MJ will do live. Take care.